Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a subject that keeps a lot of tech leaders up at night, the cloud bill. We're going to break down how you can find some pretty significant savings with architectural quick wins. And the best part, no massive rewrites required.
Just look at that number, 20 to 30%.
So, what if I told you that you could actually cut your cloud bill by that much, like next month? And no, it's not some fantasy. It's a totally realistic target. The secret is hiding in plain sight, in these common architectural patterns that a lot of us just miss in the big rush to build. All right, let's dive in.
You know, when we think about fixing cloud costs, our minds immediately go to these huge, year-long projects. But honestly, that's not usually where the real gold is. The key is to find these low-effort, high-impact fixes, what we'll call quick wins. So first, let's get on the same page about what that actually means.
A quick win is, well, exactly what it sounds like. It's a change to your architecture that doesn't take a ton of effort, but you can actually see the impact on your bill, and fast. We're talking within 1 or 2 billing cycles. These aren't just theoretical ideas, they're real practical changes you can make, pretty much right now.
This right here, this is basically the DNA of a quick win. You see the pattern, right? Low effort, minimal changes, and hey, if it doesn't work out, you can reverse it. The most interesting part is that these wins aren't buried deep in your code. Nope, they're usually sitting right there in your architecture, often overlooked during that initial scramble to get everything into the cloud.
So if these savings are just sitting there for the taking, where is all the money actually going? Let's put on our detective hats for a minute and diagnose the most common places you'll find cloud overspend.
So check this out. That huge piece of the pie, a massive 40%, is from over-provisioned compute. Basically, you're paying for a V8 engine when you only need a 4-cylinder. The rest of it is a pretty familiar story, right? Idle resources just sitting there, paying top dollar for predictable work, using the wrong storage. At the end of the day, it's all about one simple thing: making sure your spend actually lines up with what you're using.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now for the fun part, the prescription. We're going to walk through 4 super high-impact architectural techniques you can use to get that wasted money back and get your cloud bill looking a lot healthier.
First up, this is the single biggest lever you can pull for fast savings. It directly attacks that 40% of waste we just saw. It's called right-sizing your compute. And the simple truth is, most of the default machine sizes out there are way, way bigger than what most applications actually need. The big mental shift you have to make is right here. We've got to stop peak sizing, paying for this massive capacity just in case you get a huge traffic spike that might happen once a year. Instead, we need to focus on our steady-state needs. Size your systems for your typical, everyday traffic. And then, let the cloud do its magic with auto-scaling to handle those rare peaks. It's all about moving from just-in-case to just-in-time. And the impact? It's huge. We are not talking about chump change here. Just getting your instant sizes right can often shave 10 to 20% off your bill all by itself. That's a massive win from just one simple action. Okay, next up, let's talk about how you pay for all this stuff. If you've got workloads that you know are going to be running 24/7, you simply should not be paying the most expensive, on-demand price for them. It just doesn't make sense. So here's the deal. On-demand pricing gives you total flexibility, but it costs the most. Committed use, on the other hand, think reserved instances or savings plans, get you a huge discount. Why? Because you're telling the cloud provider, hey, I'm going to be using this for a while, which helps them plan their capacity. The strategy is super simple. Cover your steady, always-on usage with those cheap commitments, and only use the expensive on-demand stuff for the spiky, unpredictable bits. All right, our third quick win is often the easiest one to get done, but it's amazing how many teams just forget about it. Stop paying premium prices to store your old, cold data. Seriously, think about it like this. It's like moving old files from your desk into an archive box you stick in the basement. Hot storage is for the stuff you need right now, every day. Cold storage is for things like old logs, backups, data you barely ever touch. And the best part is you can set up simple lifecycle rules to automatically move this data to cheaper storage tiers. It is literally set it and forget it savings. And that brings us to our final quick win. This is the one that often surprises even the most experienced teams when they get their bill. I'm talking about data transfer, the hidden tax of the cloud. Yep, these are often called egress fees, and they can really sneak up on you. Every single time your data moves between data centers, even if they're in the same city, what we call availability zones, or across the country to different regions, you're probably paying for it. The fix here is usually pretty simple, architecturally speaking. Just keep your services physically close to the data they need, and maybe rethink those chatty services that are making tons of tiny network calls.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 main techniques. Now, let's see how this all comes together in a real-world example. We're going to walk through how these 4 changes can completely transform the cloud bill for a mid-sized software platform.
So here's what the team did, step by step. First, they went in and right-sized all their over-provisioned servers. Then, they bought reservations to cover their baseline Kubernetes usage. Third, they set up that automation to move a year's worth of old logs to cheap, cold storage. And finally, they took a look at that one really chatty service and re-architected it to cut down on data transfer fees. And here it is. The proof is in the pudding. Just look at the before and after on this chart. By combining these different architectural changes, they saw a real, tangible, immediate drop in their monthly spend. This isn't just theory, folks. This is the direct result of applying those 4 principles. So, you did it. You saved a bunch of money. That's awesome. But here's the final and maybe the most crucial step, making sure it stays saved. This is all about shifting from a one-time project to building a permanent culture of cost awareness. And we're not talking about creating a bunch of complicated bureaucratic rules here. These are just simple guardrails. Things like setting up budget alerts that actually go to the right people, giving engineering teams ownership over their own services cost, and building dashboards so everyone can see the numbers. The whole goal is to make optimization something you do all the time, not just a one-off project when the bill gets too high.
And just as important, here are the big traps you want to avoid. Don't just go cutting costs without understanding what it's going to do to your performance. Don't get overexcited and buy a bunch of reservations you can't actually use. And please, please avoid the biggest trap of them all, treating cost as someone else's problem. It has to be a shared responsibility between finance and engineering.
And really, that brings us to the most important takeaway. These quick wins are fantastic. They're a great starting point. But really, they're just the beginning. They open the door to a much larger and frankly more important conversation about building cost awareness right into the DNA of your engineering culture. So I'll just leave you with this question. You've optimized your spend, but is your process optimized to keep it that way?